I wanted to introduce Scott, the change energizer. Scott rejuvenates stalled corporate leaders, sales professionals, and entrepreneurs to focus, take action on goals, priorities, and income-producing activities to create head-turning results. Scott is a keynote and leadership retreat speaker from Austin, Texas. Last year, Scott presented 46 keynote and retreat sessions to 221 companies in 7 states. He's passionate about helping frustrated leaders get unstuck and moving forward. He is the president of the Austin chapter of the National Speakers Association. From 2010 to 2015, Scott was the Central Texas Regional Director for BNI, the Business Network International. He took his BNI region of 34 to 45 chapters into the top 2% internationally in growth, retention, and referral revenue, $36 million annually. He was the top national producer in membership drives with a 70% closing rate. From 2001 to 2003, Scott was the event coordinator at POA, a mega church in Central Louisiana. He coordinated the weekly, monthly, and annual events of 3 divisions, 17 departments, and 65 ministries of that 3,500 member congregation. Scott pastored a thriving congregation in Lubbock, Texas for 10 years. Together with his leadership team, they built a 13,000 square foot worship facility on 5 acres in the 90s. He and Carol were married on Thanksgiving Day, 2015, on the cruise ship Triumph in Galveston, Texas. They have an incredible blended family of 4 adult daughters, a son, and 2 grandsons. Scott loves motorcycle riding in the Texas Hill Country, golf, international travel, live music, and grilling, and competitive challenges. Please welcome our guest speaker, the Change Energizer.
Hey, thank
Scott,
you very
I'll turn
much,
it over
Beth.
to you.
All right, thank you very much, Beth. So good to be here. And Beth, I just want to say thank you very much for, putting all this together. You are an incredible leader at NAFA, and I'm thankful to have a conversation with people that are interested in your members and what they can get and how you can help them. And that's all that I hear from you. So it's great to be here. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for those of you that are able to be with us today. I'm really excited about being here. I love my topic about conquering your sand traps. The sports and advertising world knows that 5 out of 7 of us admire the success and the achievements of athletes from whatever is your favorite sport, whether it's golf or tennis or football or baseball or basketball, whatever it is. We borrow their strategies, their determination, stamina, and specific skills, and then we translate them into our business model. I mean, I can go into almost any office, and many times I will see some either a poster or something about sports, a picture with a sports icon that somebody had taken and it's signed, or a baseball or a basketball that's signed, because we admire those athletes and we want to translate their skills into our business model. And that's what I want to do today. I want to take the sport of golf, and particularly Tiger Woods and a lot of what he did, and I want to translate it into some things that we can use right now to help your business and my business continue to grow and thrive. So we remember in 2019, male and female golf enthusiasts around the world cheered as Tiger Woods made his final putt in 2019 Masters Golf Tournament in Augusta, Georgia. And actually, that is the course that is behind me right now. It was Tiger's 5th Masters win, 13 strokes under par. He was the first golfer to take home over $2 million in a winning purse. I mean, it was just incredible. But more than anything, it was Tiger's historic return from 8 knee and back surgeries to become a competitive champion. And that's the way we all felt. I mean, it was just amazing to watch the people as they, every time he hit, and they cheered, and then the crowds followed him around up and down the course. And when he made that final putt, it was historic. And somehow or another, all of us just took that in, or at least a bunch of us did. And we felt that if Tiger could make a comeback, we could make a comeback. So I want to relate that to golf. Whether you're a male or female, there are golfers that love the sport. So let me introduce the sport just a little bit. Golf is won or lost in 4 areas. And the first is driving off the tee box. You use a driver. And so golfers will tee up their ball, use this driver and position themselves carefully, practice their swing, and hit that ball as far and long down the fairway as they can get it. The average golfer hits a ball 245 yards at a speed of 91 miles per hour. Oh my God, can you imagine? After you get into the fairway, the next tool you're going to use is called the irons. And the irons are used in the fairway to get you on toward the green. So they may use a 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, whatever it is, a 6, and they'll use these to strategically move down the fairway, maybe around a dog leg and up towards the green. Once a golfer gets on the green, his next tool is the putter. And the putter could be weighted like this one, but it's the tool that she uses to get that ball from wherever it landed into the hole. Professional golfer, almost any golfer, they will measure the speed of the grass. They'll look at the lay of the green. They will decide exactly how they need to hit that ball straight on, or maybe it's going to curve and down into the hole, and they use the driver to do that. 95% of all golfers spend 90% of their time practicing the clubs, the irons, and the putter. And they spend all of their attention and all of their time on those 3 major things. And you're probably thinking about in your industry, you do the same thing. You spend a lot of time on product knowledge. You spend a lot of time on maybe the finances of it. You spend a lot of time on some of the basic things that you have to do with the products that you sell, the services that you provide. But there's a 4th area of golf that's not talked about a whole lot, and that is the hazards. The hazards make up 11% of the game. And the tool that a golfer uses in the hazards is a pitching wedge. Now, I've discovered something very interesting. Did you know that if you go to a driving range on most golf courses, there's no sand trap? There's no place to practice your pitching wedge. I find that very interesting. You can drive, you can do a lot of things, but there rarely is a sand trap that you can practice in. So sand traps are the gullies that surround the green that are filled with sand. It could be the rough area that borders the fairway as you're going down. And when a golfer hits a ball and it goes hurling through the air and comes into a sand trap, it stalls and loses all of its momentum. So now the golfer has to practice getting out of those sand traps. What am I going to do? How I'm going? That has slowed down my game. I'm not in the fairway. Well, I want to share a video with you because Tiger Woods was somebody who learned to master the sand traps. Tiger was in the 9th hole in Mexico during the Masters, and he was in a sand trap. Now I'm going to share the screen with you. I think this is just such a phenomenal, epic. Here's Tiger. Tiger is in the sand trap, and if you can see right over here is the flag for the hole. Here's Tiger. Here's the flag, and there's a tall tree between Tiger and the hole. Now think about that for just a minute. The pandemic is the sand trap all of us are in right now. Man, we got thrown into that thing and it has stalled us. We can't do the networking like we used to, can't connect with clients that we used to. All by itself, it's a hazard, it's a problem. But not only that, Tiger had this tree in front of him. And you may be thinking about some other hazards that you have too. Could be finances. It could be furloughed employees. It could be employees that are working from home and are frustrated and don't know how to get out and make things happen. Because Tiger Woods was a champion, he was going to figure out a way to get that ball onto the green. History said that Tiger went to his caddy 3 times before he chose a 9-iron. Sometimes we have to make choices about what we're going to use and the tools we're going to use to get us out of our sand trap. But he did, and I want you to watch what happened. I think it's incredible. Man, he hits that ball, puts a big twist on it, lifts it over that tree, falls onto the green, and oh my God, 18 inches from the hole. I mean, to me, that is phenomenal. That is a master at work. Now I want to share another one with you, because Tiger is not the only person that did that. There was another young lady who did the same thing, and in a maybe a bigger way. Oh, I'm looking for her, and I don't see it right now. Okay, well, we'll just have to come back to us. Okay. Oh, I wish I could have had that other one. It was so cool. But here's the point. The point is that Tiger Woods, he knew that if he was going to be a pro and win a Masters, he had to conquer his sand traps. What keeps business owners and high performance employees from achieving the phenomenal and consistent results that they want are your proverbial sand traps. And because Tiger was self-aware enough to know that 11% of the golf game was played from those, then he had to do something about it. And the minute that we can acknowledge and understand that we need to spend time learning expert techniques, then the better off we're going to be. And throughout this presentation, I want you to ask yourself, what are my sand traps? What are some things that I really need to practice on so that I can be proficient and be an expert in my field? You know, Carla was a top sales professional, and month after month after month, top salesperson, top salesperson, top salesperson. And the owner of her company had brought me in to do some training for the rest of the team. And as I'm asking questions and analyzing how people are doing, I mean, month after month, Carla just bam, 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 top salesperson again and again. So I interviewed her and I said, Carla, oh my word, how are you doing it? How are you just consistently top salesperson again and again and again? And she just laughed and she said, you know, when I got into this business, I knew a little bit about sales, but not a lot. And I found that I was consistently, when people would be ready to buy a product, they would come up with an objection. And sometimes the objections would be significant, and sometimes they weren't particularly significant. You know, well, I really need to talk to my husband, or I need to talk to my wife, or I'm not really sure that we can afford that. You know, it's kind of close to the holidays. I'm not sure we're going to go ahead and take that step. And she said she started taking some courses and watching some videos and reading books. And she realized that when somebody posed an objection, usually what they were doing is saying, Carla, if you can solve this problem, I'm going to buy from you. But if you can't solve this problem, then I'm going to put it off and go to somebody else. Wow. She said, I got educated on some of the basic objections that come to everybody in sales. And then I studied my industry in particular. And as I studied my industry in particular, I began to learn and get proficient. I started doing role play with other professionals. And as I did role play with them, I learned some of these, how to overcome some of these objections. Here's the deal. If objections was her sand trap, overcoming objections in sales was her pitching wedge. Wow. I admire somebody who says, I'm going to get proficient in getting out of these sand traps and doing better. So really, that's my topic today. If sand traps are the hazards that take you off your best business game, then your pitching wedge is to focus and take action on your goals, your priorities, and your income producing activities. So let's get into that a little bit. Let's talk about some of the sand traps that we're dealing with right now, every day. Number one is isolation. Oh my God, we are so isolated right now. I mean, isolation is a mental sand trap. You know, solitary confinement is considered a punishment. I mean, it's a torture for some people. I'm an extrovert. I am accustomed to being outside, networking, going to events, happy hours, all kinds of things. And now I am stuck in an office behind a desk and a computer. Isolation can be a real sand trap. No engagement with your peers or your comrades, no stimulating conversation with people around the office, not much interaction, maybe not a lot of collaboration. You know, when Tom Hanks filmed the movie Castaway, I mean, he got a soccer ball and so that he could have somebody to talk to. Wilson, you remember that? Isolation is a sand trap, and it can really mess you up. And if you get at home, you're in your home office, you're working from home, and you feel so disconnected from everybody, you just begin to be paralyzed and you stall. Nothing gets done. That's a sand trap. So how much of that do you think you're in? That kind of sand trap. You know, if isolation is a sand trap, then your phone and Zoom is your pitching wedge to get out of it. Man, that is very true. If you feel like you're isolated, you need to reach into your golf bag and pull out your phone or your Zoom account and get better at it. You know, when all of this started, I was in a mastermind, a book mastermind, going through a book called The Slight Edge. And when it hit, our leader said, guys, we're not going to be able to meet face to face, so we're gonna do a Zoom thing. And I thought, okay, great, how's this going to go over? But every Thursday at 8:30, we met on Zoom and we began to discuss that book. And chapter by chapter, we completed it, went all the way through it. And as we did, it kept the 12 or 16 of us that are connected with that, it kept us together. And it created some camaraderie. It created a sense that we're not isolated. Since that time, I'm in 3 team meetings that happen every week. National Speakers Association, I'm the president of that here in Austin. So I'm in team meetings with that. I'm in team meetings nationally and locally. And then 4 masterminds. I even set up a mastermind it's called Post-Pandemic Mastermind. When we get out of this, how are we going to act? What are we going to do to open and close business? And regular meetings, you know, I spoke at the Rotary not very long ago. They have a Zoom meeting every week with 80 people on it. I go to 2 or 3 happy hours every week. And I just sit here at my desk. I get a glass of wine, or I can go outside to my fire pit and take my phone or my iPad with me. So what I'm trying to say is that this pandemic has not made me feel isolated, because I got my phone and I got Zoom and I stayed connected. And if you're not doing that, I would encourage you to do it. And I'll also say this, my one-to-one meetings have tripled during the pandemic. People are so much more open to have a Zoom meeting like this and just meet with me one-to-one, have a 30-minute conversation, maybe a longer conversation. It's really been great. So if isolation is your sand trap, Zoom and your phone is your pitching wedge. And if you haven't gotten used to it, I want to encourage you to learn how to use it. I didn't know how to use Zoom. I mean, I could plug onto a meeting, but I didn't know about breakout sessions and polling and having my picture. You know, even right now, if I cut my camera off, I'm going to cut my camera off. You're not going to get my name. You're going to get a picture of me. So people don't feel completely disconnected. I learned how to do some of those things. I learned how to record on meetings and set up my own meetings and have weekly meetings. And you can take Zoom classes for free. Zoom will train you how to do all of this stuff. But it makes a huge difference in how we can stay focused and how we can keep moving. So that's number one. The second sand trap that was just really devastating is ghosting clients. Have you ever heard that term before? Ghosting. That means that all of a sudden they don't hear from you anymore. You don't hear from them anymore. Ghosting clients, prospects, or your team is a sand trap. And if you're in that sand trap right now, you've got to get out of it. Here's the deal. You may or may not be aware of this, but when clients and connections don't hear from you, they assume the worst. Their imagination goes to work in a negative way. Out of sight, out of mind. How come she's not calling me? How come he's not talking to me? How come I'm not hearing from her? What's going on? If there was ever a time when your team needed to hear from you, or your clients or your prospects need to hear from you, it is now. That's a big deal. So back in March, I got a call from the Waco Chamber of Commerce, and they said, "Hey, Scott, we have you scheduled to come up and speak in April, and we'd love to have you come, but our mayor just shut our city down, and we can't have gatherings of more than 10 people. So I'm calling to tell you that we'll just have to reschedule indefinitely. I don't know when." And I said, "Okay, I understand. We're all in that same boat. But if you're open to suggestions, why don't we do a Zoom call to all of your membership? You can use my Zoom account, and we can pipe this out to everybody. I'll do my presentation from my office, and you can be in your office, and we'll send this out to all of your Chamber of Commerce members at their homes or their home offices or their cubicles or wherever they are. And if there was ever a time your chamber members needed to hear from you, it's right now." And she said, "Well, let me think about it. I'll call you back. I'll let you know." 30 minutes later, she called back and she said, "We're on. Let's do it." And man, I said, "Great. I'm really excited to hear that." And we did. And we had a great turnout, and we had a great meeting. And so many of her members said, "Thank you for Zooming this stuff out." So, I just want to let you in on a secret. Don't ghost your people. Man, reach out to them. Set up some Zoom meetings. And nobody's expecting you to be just a great professional and know all the tidbits of Zoom, but use what you've got and get it out there. Get some training. There's a lot of YouTubes and training about how to do a Zoom meeting. So if ghosting clients is a sand trap, then calling and being interested in them is your pitching wedge. Well, that's a big deal. So let's talk about that. It's your current income producing activity to connect to your clients and your team. So I've got a friend, Artie Byrne. Artie Byrne is just incredible. He is an alternative funding for business. And Artie's a big networker. I mean, I'm not sure I know anybody who is a better network than Artie is. Artie, he's got happy hours, he's got networking events, golfing events, all kinds of things that he creates or attends or go to so that he can network with the banking industry and the business world all the time. Boy, when this pandemic hit, and he was one of the last ones to quit going out in public. And he called me, he said, "Scott, I hate this. Man, I mean, I feel like my arms and my legs are cut off and somebody's put duct tape over my mouth and I don't know what to do." And I said, "Artie, I mean, you're good at connecting with people. You just have to get on your phone. You just have to create some kind of way to get in touch with people." And so that's exactly what he did. He has a method where in the mornings, whether it's a Zoom call or whether it's a phone call, and for years he's just been using the phone, and he checks in with people. So that's what I hear. "Scott, I mean, I don't mind calling people. I just don't know what to say. I mean, I don't want to, call them up and say, 'Hey, man, Scott Carley here, and I'm here to sell you something.' Let me get you to buy something from me. You know, nobody wants to hear that. As a matter of fact, Artie and I have a deal that if you try to have commission breath, we're going to give you one of these. It's an Altoid. And if you are ever at a networking event and I give you an Altoid, that means that you have commission breath. I mean, all you're talking about is trying to sell me something. So what do you say when you contact people? You just check in. And there's 4 things. Number 1, be interested. Not interesting, but be interested. And Artie will calls me up. Hey, Scott, how's it going? How you doing? Oh my God, can you believe all of this pandemic and we're locked in and quarantined, and he's interested. Number 2, be positive. You know, everybody wants someone to be positive. Being negative is an easy thing to do. Artie is always positive. He puts a positive spin on things and tries to find a way out. Number 3, be a resource. Artie is their resource. And I've got other people that are great resources too. You know, that I've got one friend, he's a real estate agent, and when he calls some people, he'll say, need any toilet paper? Man, I got cases of toilet paper over here. You need toilet paper, I'll bring it to you. But the point is, they're a resource. How can I help you? Man, I just can't figure out this Zoom thing. Okay, well, I'll show you what I know about Zoom, and let's kind of figure it out. So that's huge. And then the last one, number 3, be brief. So I've got a scheduler set up, and my scheduler has 30-minute appointments and 1-hour appointments. And I found that if people think they're fixing to get trapped on a 1-hour call, they just, oh my God, I don't want to spend an hour. But almost anybody can talk for 30 minutes. And so I've got on my schedule 30-minute calls, and people are booking them up left and right, because they know I'm going to be interested, positive, a resource, and be brief. Another thing that you can do on those calls is update people. Sometimes just update what's going on in the industry, what's going on with them, what's going on with you. Just bring in updates so that they know how things are going. So a lot of people have big questions running around up here. Hey, what does the future look like? I had somebody call me up and said, Scott, you know, people are really nervous about Austin and the economy, and you know, what's it really going to look like? And he said, here's the deal. I'm driving through Austin, and there are 11 cranes building buildings on the way to downtown Austin. Said those cranes represent some long-term money. There are 3 children's hospitals that are going into North Austin. That represents money. Amazon is coming in. Google's coming in. And when he's positive and starts talking about those things, then people feel like they welcome the phone call. So if ghosting clients is your sand trap, your pitching wedge is calling and being interested in them and helping them to get out of this thing. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's a big one. So what's the third one? There's a third sand trap, and that is paralyzing fear. Oh man, fear is a sand trap. And right now we have a whole lot of fear that people are engulfed by. And it's coming from several different directions. There are a lot of people that are fearful about their job. A lot of people are fearful about their health. They're fearful about a lot of things. You know, intimidation is a fear. Intimidation is a sand trap. Fear is excessive confidence in the negative. And when you visit with people and talk to people and they have excessive confidence in a negative report and a fearful report, then they're in trouble. It's a sand trap. It's an infatuation with your competitor's theoretical advantage. You know, sometimes we see a competitor out there advertising more than we are, we think. We see a competitor out there doing things that that they seem to have the edge. It looks like they have the edge. We're hearing that everything is going great, and we become fearful. And it's an infatuation with that. It is overstating daunting obstacles. I just want to be really clear. Fear is not your friend, and fear is a sand trap. And many times it paralyzes us, and we just stop doing anything because we're afraid. We're afraid to go out. We're afraid to use Zoom. We're afraid to make a phone call. We're afraid to talk to a client. We're afraid to talk to a prospect. We're afraid of what's going on. And it can really mess people up. COVID-19 has paralyzed a lot of leaders and a lot of people in the workforce. It has created a lot of death, sickness, separation. It's been a big deal. My mom is 87 years old. She lives in an assisted living facility. About a year and a half, we moved her down from Alaska to Austin. My parents lived in Alaska for 50 years. And when my dad died 3 or 4 years ago, then we moved my mom down here. About 4 weeks ago, I got a call at 11 o'clock at night. Scott, your mother has fallen and she's bumped her head, and we're taking her to the hospital. I went to the hospital and I went to the emergency room, and I said, I'm here to see my mom. And they said, okay, well, she is here and you'll need to, but you can't come in to see her. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'll just go out in the waiting room and wait. They said, oh no, you can't wait in the waiting room. You'll have to go out. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'll go outside and sit on the benches. No, sir, you can't sit on the benches either. You need to go get in your car and you can call us from your car. And I thought, man, people are afraid. They're fearful. And we have to respect that, but that's the way it was. And so I went out in the car and I called, and they said, yeah, your mom's here. And she has broken her number one vertebra in her neck. She has cracked her hip. And we're sending her to a spinal hospital in Round Rock. And I said, okay, where is that? They gave me the address. So now think about how I'm feeling. This is my mom. She's 87. She's got a broken number one vertebrae, and she's got a cracked hip. So I drive to the hospital, and I go up to the emergency room, and they say, is my mom here? Yes, she's here. She just arrived. Is there any way I could come in and see her? Yes, there is. Really? How do I do that? And they said, we're going to take your temperature, and we allow one visitor to come in per patient. And so they took my temperature, put a badge on me, and I went in and saw my mom. Spent the night with her, holding her hand in that room while they did x-rays. They put her in the hospital for, I think it was 4 days. They released her. 10 days later, she fell again. And when she went back to the assisted living, I can't go in there because it's quarantined down. Now, I'm telling you all of that to just remind you that fear is there for a lot of people, and it is changing the way they respond and react, and a lot of things about your business. You're having to deal with that. Fear is a sand trap, and it's paralyzing. So if fear is a sand trap, courage is your pitching wedge. Courage is really important to have. Now, when I say courage, I don't want that to be confused with reckless abandon. I'm not talking about reckless abandon. The people in that second hospital who had courage to let me in took my temperature, and they monitored me. I still had to wear a mask, and they monitored me, but they had courage about letting me in. Courage is a quality of mind and spirit that enables you to face difficulty, fear, pain, and uncertainty. And so sometimes when you feel that fear, you need to say to yourself, courage, rise up inside of me. Courage, rise up inside and face your fear. Not ignore it, but face it and move ahead. Years ago, Franklin Roosevelt, he was the one that coined the phrase, the thing we must fear the most is fear itself. That's a big pitching wedge. Courage is not the absence of fear, apprehension, or uncertainty. Courage is not throwing your good sense to the wind, but it is facing all of those and taking action. Now, I want to ask you the question rhetorically, and you need to answer it. What am I fearful for? What am I afraid of? It's not necessarily just the pandemic. It's here with us for the time being, but eventually it's going to go away. Are you using the pandemic to cover up a fear that you have of something else? Contacting clients or learning how to close a deal, learning how to work through problems that are among team members. What is it? Courage is facing that and say, I'm going to work my way through it one bite at a time, one piece at a time. I'm going to get the education and the tools and practice whatever I need to do, just like Carla, who watched all those videos and all those seminars, read those books and did role play so that she could conquer that sand trap of objections. And eventually she did. And it turned her into a repeating top salesperson. Right now, I'm coaching a team of commercial realtors in the Round Rock area, and they're just knocking it out of the park. It's really incredible. I'm so excited for them. They're doing great. And Danielle is one of the members that's on that team. And Danielle is a good commercial realtor, has a few years of experience, not a lot of experience, but a few years of experience. And Danielle is accustomed to finding $100,000 and $200,000 deals, commercial deals. And she's pretty good at that. She finds them, she negotiates them, but her cap is about $100,000 or $200,000 deals. So her broker, person that I'm coaching, has been coaching her and saying, Danielle, you can do more than that. There's a bigger picture. And without saying it, she sends off all the signals and the signs, but I'm fearful. I don't know how to go through those conversations. I don't know what to say. I'm not sure about their objections. I'm not sure about the questions that they might ask. And so her broker has been coaching her about doing the due diligence and being able to figure out what the questions are going to be even before they ask them. What are some of the typical questions that someone would have in a commercial real estate deal, that especially a big one? And so as he's been coaching her about learning how to do that, during this pandemic, Danielle landed a $4.3 million commercial deal. Oh my God, she was so excited. And he was so excited for her. She landed it. She negotiated it. She worked through it. And then she cashed it in and got that incredible deal. Oh my word. One of the things that Danielle did was face her fears and let courage build up inside of her so that she could overcome that obstacle and get exactly what she wanted. Right before this call, I got a text from a friend who's a financial advisor. And he said, hey gang, I want y'all to pray for me because my business is doing okay, but I'm not hitting any big milestones like I want to hit. And I'm just not sure what to do about it. I'm not sure how to get out there and make it happen. And I text him right back and said, I'm on a call today. I'm doing a keynote. I hope that you will plug in. And we're going to talk about that because just like Danielle, who was nervous about moving into that fish, going from $100,000 and $200,000 deals to $4 million deals, that's a big gap. And learning how to take that leap and get there is something everybody on this call can learn to do. I think it's so great. Your pitching wedge is very important to you. So if your sand trap is isolation, being stuck at home, in the office, can't get out, your pitching wedge is your phone and Zoom. Learn how to use them. Learn to become proficient with it. If ghosting is your sand trap and people aren't hearing from you, clients aren't hearing from you, check in with your clients, check in with your prospects, check in with your networking group, check in with people that you usually network with. Go to some virtual happy hours and go to some virtual meetings and get proficient. On a meeting like this, I can see all of your names, for crying out loud. I mean, there's Jody and John and Chris and Lynn and Unique and Bob, and I can see all of your names. And in chat, I can send you a message that says, hey, let's get together and let's have a 30-minute Zoom meeting. And I do that all week. And you know what? They respond. You can do the same thing. So, so if ghosting is a sand trap, then get your pitching wedge out and start checking in with clients. And then fear. If fear is a sand trap and you're afraid of something, courage is your pitching wedge. And I want to encourage you to feed your courage feed your confidence and your courage with training and role play and skills. All of us have to do that. Matt is on the phone right now. He's on the call with us right now because I know my LinkedIn banner isn't great. It's okay. I like it. It's not great. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid to say that. I want it to be better. Matt's a professional at that. And I asked Matt last night, Matt, I need you to look at my banner, figure out how to make me look better, how to get a better, clear message across about what I do. And he's going to fix it. He's going to help me with that. Tiger Woods has a coach. Everybody has somebody looking at their blind spots, showing them how they can be better. Beth, I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you putting these kinds of things together. Because you know what Beth is doing? Beth is reaching out, and every month or week, she's handing out pitching wedges. And she's saying, let me help you get out of your sand traps so that you can make more money and you can get more business and make things happen. Thank you, Beth, for doing that kind of thing. Now, I want to close with this, and then I'll take some time for Q&A. I love this little saying. I live by it all the time. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, just don't quit. Life is weird with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns. And many a failure comes about when they might have won had they stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint in the clouds of doubt. And you never can tell how close you are. You may be near when it seems afar. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem the worst that you mustn't quit. Beth, back to you.
Thank you so much, Scott. That was great. And I really appreciate you joining us today. And I know a couple of people joined late, Chris and Enrique and Bob. I'm really glad that you guys did join us. I know that there was some other things happening this morning, so maybe that's what you guys got hung up with, those other webinars that were happening. But I found all of your words really confidence building and everything else. I'm not a golfer, so I don't know if I got that part, but but I mean, I play a little bit, but it's always really hot out. But if anybody has any questions, I know of Scott or anything else, please let's open up your mic and let's share. Anyone?
Hey, Scott, just want to say thank you again. But I only got down 3 of the sand traps you mentioned. So isolation, ghosting, and paralyzing fear. What was the 4th one? I apologize.
I didn't have a 4th one. That was it. There was those 3. The first one that I mentioned, I didn't make it official. That was overcoming objections. So when objections come up, somebody's trying to buy from you, but they have an objection. That's a sand trap. I didn't really call it one of the 3, but 3 were all that I mentioned.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything?
Yes, I had a question actually regarding sand traps and isolation and things like that. So you mentioned your Zoom calls and your cocktail nights. What's another thing you've noticed about other people that are adapting to this new environment in your social circle?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the things that I'm finding is that people are getting on these Zoom calls and they feel more comfortable in a Zoom call than they do at a coffee shop or at your office. Here's an interesting thing. In a Zoom call, I'm in my own space. I'm in my office. I'm at my home, and I feel confident and comfortable, and I'm not on your territory. You are in your own space. And so you feel comfortable there. And because it's a Zoom, you can click off anytime you want. You can hit the mute button. You can cancel your picture. And so I'm finding I'm having deeper and better conversations on Zoom than I've had in the past year. It's really been great. And then too, I can share stuff. I can do share screen. And if I need to show you a template or, some other things that I have, then I just throw it up there. I can buzz it to you real quick. So this stuff right here is not going away, folks. It's here for a long time. And there are some companies that have been doing it for the last 10 years, and they're so accustomed to it. But I can tell you that for a lot of us, this is not going away. Get used to it. Learn how to use it.
Yeah, and I'd just like to share from an event that I was at a couple of weeks ago. The Austin affiliate had a happy hour, roundtable / happy hour, where they were sharing stories. And one of the attendees there said that they've almost, I think he's increased his business by 8-fold since the pandemic started, because he's been able to meet with that many more people, do that much more business with people. Another person said that he's now able to meet with people in their homes, essentially, where they would have never said, come to my home. But now it's like not a big deal at 8 o'clock to have a Zoom meeting, things like that, with somebody across town, that type of thing. So embracing the technology is huge, I think, for everybody. And now that, the customers are embracing it to meet with their parents or their children and everything else, I think that they're much more comfortable with it as well and have adapted. So I think that type of thing, just getting over that fear of the technology, is a huge one.
Yeah, I'm going to teach a workshop about it on the 30th, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. There's another thing, and that is people feel real comfortable about how they don't have to get all dressed up to show up for a meeting, and that's okay to a limit. You still make an impression over a Zoom call, because people they see you and they see, how you present yourself. That's just the best way to say it. But still, people feel comfortable about not having to put on the dog suit and tie. I don't think I've seen anybody wearing a tie on a Zoom meeting, but it's going good.
Excellent.
Now, can I show you something fun real quick? Oh, go ahead. What was your question?
I just want to say thank you for answering my question. You can show us something fun.
Yeah, show us something fun, Scott.
I'm playing with this stuff, and in playing with this stuff, I've done a couple things. Let's see if I can. That's one. We'll do this one. So this is my background, and I've created some videos, just having fun with people, and they'll say, "Oh my God, who is that right there?" Well, that's my Change Energizer. Comes in and gets me encouraged, brought me my drink, and make sure that I have something to drink. And so he hangs out with me for a little bit, and he takes off. He'll go away, and then somebody else will come on. Doing fun things like this has gotten people laughing and relaxed and more comfortable. When I do a workshop, I can talk about the different people. Yeah, I like yours, Andrew. Your background, Thirsty Thursday. Maybe that's your happy hour. I don't know. Yeah. So there's just a lot of fun things that you can do with this that make it a little bit more fun. I got this idea from Jimmy Fallon on the Tonight Show. His sidekick came in with 5 or 6 of him, and I haven't figured out how to do the layover so that all of them are there, but I have a few that show up. So I just thought I would share that with you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Any
Thanks.
other questions?
Nope.
I may have just wanted to ask Scott. So just kind of want to get your story. It looks like I was just looking at your LinkedIn real quick. You being a pastor and everything like that. Where did you find that this was what you wanted to do in the most recent years, if you wanted to share?
Yeah, so I get asked that question quite a bit, because people say, "Oh my word, how did you go from you know, being so involved in church work and all of that, then it's real simple. I went through a divorce, and a divorce in church work is like a felony conviction, and it can be overcome, but it's pretty tough. And so I just transitioned into the business world. I'm still working with people. I'm still helping people overcome their obstacles in life and get better and move forward. So that's the story in a nutshell. And I'm still very involved in church work and associations. I'm just not a pastor anymore.
Thank you for sharing.
Sure. So we do have a workshop that's coming up. Beth, is this a good time to talk about that?
Yeah, go ahead and talk. Well, I just want to say, thank you all for joining us. And you guys get a lot of information, a lot of invites, but I really encourage you guys to always just keep checking our NAFA Texas calendar of events. We're always updating it with not just the NAFA Texas events, but NAFA National and also our chapter and local events. Things are, just yesterday we added some, San Antonio has something added. Mostly virtual at this point. I know there's a few locals that are going back to doing live events, but they're great opportunities to meet new people, to network, to learn from people like Scott and others, just to keep, and most of our things at this point are still complimentary. There are a few we're starting to charge for, but we just are really here to serve you. And I'm going to put my email address here in the chat as well. I've put Scott's website in there, but for you guys to contact us, and but anytime that we can help, we're here for you. So, but I want Scott to talk about the workshop he's doing with NAFA Texas at the end of this month that kind of builds off of this as well and goes a little bit more in depth.
So networking is a huge part of what all of us do to get business. Most of my business comes from relationships and networking. It does come from marketing, but most of it comes from the people that I meet and the connections that I make. And so on the 30th, I'm going to do a 2-hour workshop called Energizing Your Virtual Networking Connections. And I'm just going to go into some detail about why virtual is becoming the new norm. And now just connect with people in your neighborhood, but all over the city, all over the county, all over the state, all over the country, all over the world. We'll talk about 5 advantages to virtual networking, and there are some really great advantages. I'll dive into that, and so that you can begin to weigh that this is really a good thing, and I ought to take advantage of it. One of the things that I'll show you is my scheduling app that I use. I have a scheduling app. When somebody joins my LinkedIn, I have a script that I use. And hey, it's nice to meet you. Thanks for joining. And if you're up to a chat, here's my scheduling link. And that scheduling link is tied to Zoom. So when somebody hits that link, looks at my calendar, and they have a variety of things that they can choose from, a date and a time, they pick it, and it automatically sets a Zoom appointment. And I get a notice, they get a notice, they get the link and the login, everything. It's great. It's made it so much easier. And then I'll share with you at least 6 Zoom meeting networking options, things that you can do, things that you can take advantage of so that you can start networking via Zoom. I was on a Rotary, the Rotary Association. 85 people were on that call. And it was so easy for me to start making some connections with them. And obviously, no, I didn't connect with 85 people. I didn't get 85 appointments, but I did get some pretty major appointments. 2 of them are going to book me for a national meeting. So I would call that pretty significant for people that I had never met before. So there's some great things that you can do. And then I'll also take you through a tool about energizing your top 125 connections. And I'll show you how to identify and categorize your top 125 connections, and then what you can do over a 90-day period to keep those people top of mind, or keep you top of mind with those people, so that when they have a need for your products and services, or somebody they know that needs your products or services, you will be the first person they'll think of. And it's not hard. It is work, but that's part of what is making that commercial realtor in Round Rock just knocking it out of the park. Right now, they are just busy, and they're using all of these things. So it's going to be a great time. We'll have a lot of fun. It's a 2-hour workshop on the 30th, I believe.
Yes, the end of the month. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, and I believe I think everybody on this call is a member, if not, but these things are open to members and non-members. Almost everything we have is. But we hope that people become members too, when the option's available. So anyway, yeah, any questions for myself or Scott about NAFA, about anything else that we can answer?
No, thank you.
No? Okay. Well then, Scott, anything else? Or are we going to give them the greatest gift of all time?
That's right. That's right. You know, I believe when you finish and be done. I've had, I used to be a long-winded preacher. And so I have learned that it's better to finish a little early than a little late. So, man, it's been great getting to meet all of you. I hope that you will connect with me. You can go to PriorityEnergizer.com. And if you go to that, you're going to get a video from me, and then you'll get connected to some of the tips that I use for priority management and that I've helped people all over the country. I've coached and spoken to hundreds of insurance agents and financial advisors. So I understand your world and love to help you.
Right.
So that's
and I'll
it.
send out an email after this with the recording, by the way. So for everybody who's been on. So
Great.
You guys can have that as well. But so we all have that. All right. Thanks, everyone. And I hope to hear from you if you need anything.